Cree Myles, book influencer, curator, and educator. Welcome to the Milwaukee Based studio. Before we get into all the wonderful work you've been doing in the online book community, I want to ask, what sort of reader are you?
What sort of reader? I have really good taste in literature. I think for the most part, literature should be used to help you think critically and not to not think. And my reading reflects that. I am, my home base is the Black literary tradition. So the Richard Wrights and Toni Morrison and Alice Walker and Gloria Naylor, Zora Neale Hurston, Baldwin. That's my home base. And then I stray from that when I dive into contemporary writers who are writing in that tradition. So during our sound test, I mentioned Brandon Taylor. He's one of the best contemporary writers on the planet. So that is my relationship with literature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then you kind of got your start as an influencer around 2019.
Yeah, 2019, 2018, yeah.
What was the book influencer scene like when you first started?
Well, I mean, like most things in this country, very white and escapey. I have on a cable knit sweater and I'm drinking a mug of something big and I'm reading this beautiful novel. And so that annoyed me. And so I just, because I had just finished reading Their Eyes Were Watching God, and Janie was making these radical choices for herself in the in the 30s, and just taking her life into her own hands, which was really was impacting me as a 20-something who is getting all these influences from the outside world, primarily my parents, who's this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I was but this is what my heart is telling me to do. And I was getting confirmation that I was following the right path from the books that I was reading. So I just felt we needed other options in the digital book space. Yes, you can read and cozy up and stuff, but also you can read and then act differently, So that's what I was rooted in, I think.
And eventually, your book reviews kind of started getting traction. And in 2021, you led this readathon with Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
And there was a lot going on in the country at the time, COVID and George Floyd protests. What was that experience like, sharing those books together?
I mean, I think at this point, because I'm so deep into this career, that my legacy is just promoting, uplifting, and celebrating Black literature, which is wonderful. And so I guess in a lot of ways, I think that was my contribution to that moment, even though that is just my contribution to society at large. But of course, it had a magnifying glass on it because we were just ultra sensitive to all of the ways that we rub up against each other racially. And while I guess we always are, it was just coming to a head at that moment. People were saying things that they hadn't said before, and there were just debates happening in public forums that weren't happening before. And I mean, I really would like to think that when those type of things are happening, it is beneficial to just go to the text. And Toni Morrison is the text for me, and she won a Nobel for all of us. So it was really wonderful to put that readathon on at that moment. People were DMing me I had never even heard of Beloved, and now and then to tell them that it was based on a true story is one way that the United States really did their big one was how they have remarketed what was happening in the antebellum South during slavery. So just everybody's always shocked by these anecdotal stories, and it's just it gets worse. This isn't even, So it's just it was nice to expose people to that, I guess.
You've continued doing that, putting all of that literature out that was probably not as known to wider audiences or other types of audiences. Yeah. And that readathon eventually led to Always Black, your current project with Penguin Random House. How did that come together? How did that come out of what you just talked about?
Honestly, they were just geniuses at the helm at Penguin Random House. Shout out to Sonyu Dillon and to Carly. So there were just people who really wanted to push the envelope of how publishing showed up digitally and just like at large in the world. And they just saw me as a co-conspirator in that movement. So it was pitched to me as like it was going to be akin to Netflix's Strong Black Lead, except it was going to be for literature. And I mean, it's been fun. Penguin has a vast, comprehensive backlist that is just beautiful. And yeah, and even like and I get a lot of free books, so that's also also wonderful.
That's a big plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And how has it like grown over the past 4 years? Have people been like really receptive to it? Are there any plans to expand on it?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of started on the heels of COVID, so we really want to get back to in-person things, like, as much as we can. So I think that's really what our next, like, lift is. How can we see each other and look each other in the face more at an always Black, like, centered or sponsored situation?
And your platform has also allowed you to like spotlight Milwaukee in particular. How has Milwaukee's literary scene grown over the years?
The homie, shout out to Dr. Liston, Monique. Last year we did a project where we hosted salons at our house, which was really fun. And so I feel like that has been like a contribution to Milwaukee's literary scene. Shout out to Rooted, the children's bookstore, and shout out to Niche. And of course, shout out to Boswell. Hi, Daniel. I got the book. I'm very excited. But like, I think we just keep pushing, but it isn't like, I just feel like it's a continuation. I don't think it's like, oh, it's a new thing. Milwaukee values literature. I think we always have, and things just ebb and flow, and it's kind of just at the forefront right now.
Yeah. And in the digital scene, we've also seen like content out of the Milwaukee Public Library. And a lot of people have said that that's made them more interested in going back to the libraries.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I'm a library kid, you know. My parents were public servants. My dad was a DNR warden. My mom was a teacher. I spent my summers at the library. So it's just kind of a sacred space in our late stage capitalism society at large, because you can go for free and nobody expects you to spend money and you can sit there. And so I love libraries. I've always loved them. I hope when I die, it's a library in the sky.
Love that. Put it on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about those salons? That sounds kind of interesting.
I mean, I've always been attracted to salons. There is a very famous Black salon that took place during the Harlem Renaissance called the Dark Tower. And it was hosted actually by Madam C.J. Walker's daughter, who was a queer woman and was just finding it hard to find her community in public spaces. So she was hosting these salons so that they could let loose. And so I really liked the idea of just like a space where you're engaging in critical thought, but also like you're having fun. So we do engage in critical thought. The fun doesn't go as far as I'd like it to because there are kids, but one day we'll have a proper salon in to pay homage to the Dark Tower. But and I'm going to bring them back this winter too. I think they're especially helpful in the winter. Also, like Nicole Hannah-Jones hosts a salon in Brooklyn. They're just a good place to just like talk about ideas and eat. So honestly, it's just a euphemism for talk about ideas and eat. Salon.
What's the format?
We come in, there's food, everybody brings, like the one I hosted was on, so Toni Morrison and Audre Lorde have the same birthday, ironically enough. So it was, the one I hosted was on their birthday, and everybody brought a passage that was inspired by or directly from Toni Morrison or Audre Lorde, and we read them, and then we talked about them. And then the one that Monique hosted was on Harriet Tubman's death day. So that one was rooted in like what sparked your relationship with revolution. And people had some really, really beautiful, super beautiful things to say. Monique finished the night with a poem. It was really lovely. They're fun.
Speaking of all of these community-based events that help you guys revive your love for literature, I kind of want to know, how did you first start falling in love with literature?
I was first grade. There's a redheaded girl named Emily who was getting all of the attention because she was in the high reader group. So I decided I also was going to be in the high reader group. So I just started reading and I was like, I couldn't read in first grade. I purposely didn't learn anything in kindergarten. Like, it was a act of rebellion because I was just trying to play. So when I got to first grade, I couldn't read anything. And then I saw Emily getting attention and I was like, okay, well, I need to learn how to read. So I would just I would stay in for recess, and my teacher, bless her heart, shout out to Miss Morin, would go through Frog and Toad with me. So we'd be reading Frog and Toad, but I saw Emily was reading Babysitter's Club. So I was like, well, I'm coming. So by the end of semester 1, I was able to read Babysitter's Club Little Sister, her little sister Karen. And then while I'm doing all of this out of spite, I actually also enjoyed it immensely. So that that's how, so I was like, okay, well, now I'm in this reading group, but also this rocks. So I started reading all the time. And then I'm an OG, Goosebumps had a fan club for 2 years, just for 2 short years. I was in it getting a Goosebumps book every month with the little trinkets and packets. And I was not a Babysitter's Club completionist, but I read a lot of Babysitter's Club. I read Sister Souljah's Coldest Winter Ever way too early, but it was great. A little bit of Sweet Valley High. Yeah, those were my... Oh, and then this one-off about vampires called Look for Me by Moonlight. It was a banger. So that was, I think those are my literary origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we started with the Babysitter's Club, and now we're at Always Black.
Yeah, quite literally, yes.
Yeah, it's notable to me that Toni Morrison also worked at Random House at one point. I believe she was the first Black editor there.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, and how has that influenced your life? Did it feel like a full circle moment for you?
Kind of. Toni Morrison was purposely really private, so I think a lot of times the stans, which I am one of, we place things on her that are unfair because we don't actually know how she felt about things. But it definitely felt it was humbling to be able to get picked up to do this project under the same corporation that Toni was working with and fighting and arguing with to get. She really brought a second renaissance sort of single-handedly with the books that she was publishing. They wouldn't have gotten, Angela Davis's autobiography wouldn't have gotten published. Muhammad Ali's wouldn't have gotten published. Gail Jones, we wouldn't know about her. So it's just Toni K. Bambara. She brought us writers that we would not know about. So I think in a lot of ways her work was way more important than mine, but mine is fun, and I do take people knowing the names that I listed and Toni Morrison in general. I do take people knowing them seriously, and I feel like they should be common knowledge in the same way Abraham Lincoln is common knowledge.
Yeah, I guess you both are educators in your own way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is that connection between politics and literature for you?
I mean, it's just the old adage. I mean, I deeply identify as a Black feminist. I'm an abolitionist. Everything's political. That's just the truth. And if you don't think it's political, that just means that the thing that you're existing in is in lockstep with the broadly agreed upon narrative. It doesn't mean that it's not political. So I always wonder what Black writers could do and what they would write about if they didn't have to constantly be addressing oppression. And one of Toni Morrison's most famous quotes is the key function of racism is distraction. And I think about all the ways that beautiful, talented, gifted writers who could probably just write thousands and thousands of words about a butterfly have to spend their energy convincing white people that Black people matter and they're telling the truth about their experiences.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about kind of that balance between reading for escapism. You kind of touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
Balance between reading for escapism and then reading to educate yourself or to like build up a certain kind of political consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, I view humanity as a group project. And so we all kind of have to know the information to get an A on the test, which like would be like the climate. And so I'm not anti-escapism. I'm really not. Back in the day, I watched the Kardashians. I love reality television. I love a good Hallmark Christmas movie. I just am anti every single piece of media that you consume is with the purpose of you escaping. So if you're only reading things to escape, you're only watching things to escape, you're only listening to things to escape, what are you doing to engage critically with the systems that we're under? And if you're not doing anything, that's irresponsible to me. So like I have an aunt who only reads romance basically, but she's a social worker. So like she has like such a wonderful, solid knowledge of like the systems in place in Milwaukee, and like her whole career is dedicated to the social welfare of children, you know? But like I just can't get with the influencing of like I can't because I'll start dropping names, but it's like it feels irresponsible to me to do like every single thing that you do and single thing that you push and uplift is just for people to escape. I don't like that.
So we'd be remiss if we didn't walk away from this conversation without some book recommendations.
For sure.
And maybe we'll start on the escapism side of things, perhaps. Any fiction books that are standing out to you lately?
First of all, Graham. You don't escape when you read good fiction.
Okay, good point. You know what? I regretted that as soon as I said it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because it's December. I've been thinking really heavy about like my top reads of the year. I read Gloria Naylor's Linden Hills. It's a masterpiece. So I think everybody on the planet should read that. It came out in like 1985. It's kind of a throwback. I love me some Ira Levin. He wrote Rosemary's Baby. And so I read Rosemary's Baby a few years ago, and this year I read Stepford Wives, which is also a masterpiece. It's so unfortunate that those are the only 2 horror books he wrote. So now I have nothing else to read. He wrote some plays. I don't like reading plays, but I might because it's Ira. Also this year, I've been thinking this like thick 550-page book came out at the top of the year called Play World by Adam Ross. It was his second book. 10 years ago, he wrote this book called Peabody. It's about like this kind of autofiction, him growing up in New York in the 1980s. Banger. Like the first 100 pages, he's really world building, so you just got to go with it. But once we're over that hump, it's so good. It's so fun. Like I said, Brandon Taylor is an auto read. I'm reading his 3rd novel, 4th book right now. Black Minor Figures is wonderful. I also loved his debut, Real Life, which is what made him an auto read for me. And actually he almost finished a degree at the University of Wisconsin, but then he switched to writing and went to Iowa's Writers Workshop. So Wisconsin is always referenced in his books. Like the main character in this book, Wyeth, got his art degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So that one is wonderful. Also right now I'm reading The Sellout by Paul Beatty. It won the Booker in 2015 or 16, and he's the only American that has won the Booker, and it's good.
I love that, like trust in your taste.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yes.
Of like if you've cultivated this taste, you can judge a book by its cover.
Oh my gosh, yes. And like also like yes, by what the reviews are saying. Also, all the blurbs, y'all are lying. I need all my writers to come to the front. I'm not going to call any of you out by name, but I have picked books up because I loved your book, and then I read the book and it's not good. So I need y'all to stop lying.
I think it's also like the weather for rereading all the books that you loved.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I've been rereading The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. That's that was the one book growing up that really, really made me cry.
Yeah.
Even as a child, because it like really, I could see myself in the book. But like whenever I'm like walking to my car, or whenever I
You're
just put
listening
the
to it?
audio, I just put
Yeah.
put the audiobook on, and even
Yes.
if it's like the smallest paragraph, the waterworks just start.
I understand. I totally understand.
What do you think, to redeem myself here a little bit, what do you think about the power of fiction to not just be an escape from life, but to lead you to like engage with life, engage with systems, and politics, so on?
I mean, I think when we're honest with ourselves, we recognize, like ourselves as humans, I think we recognize the fact that we live our life in stories. Like, we're all adults now, so what we have from our childhood is stories that we tell ourselves, and that are also literally open to interpretation. I was cleaning out my office yesterday. I'm reading my journal from 1996 to I was 6 to 2006. So 10 years, 6 to 16. And the narrative of the house that I grew up in at that time, I was so frustrated with my parents and I just felt like no one heard me and etc. is so different than the story that I tell myself now about my childhood, which I had a great childhood. Like I had fun. Like I said, we were at the library all the time. So like what we tell ourselves and how we tell ourselves determines everything. Like it just does. And when I think about I have 3 kids, so like the Wildcrats is on all the time, and I think about their whole concept of like super creature power, and I think our humans, it's our imagination. Like that's our actual superpower, and that's just so much more interesting to me than plain old facts. Though facts are crucial. So we're not going to discount them. The stories that you tell have to be accurately rooted in like historical truth, hopefully.
That's a great segue. Any nonfiction books that you've been enjoying lately?
Well, definitely King Leopold's Ghost was wonderful. A lot of my nonfiction is just like about the civil rights movement. We really did a big one. So Megger and Merle by Joy Ann Reid. Also excellent. I read that this year. I think 2 years ago, I read King by Jonathan Eig. It won the Pulitzer. Excellent. Malcolm X would have been 100 2025. I think his birthday was in August. So like kind of celebrating the centennial of the Big Dog that came out by Alex Haley.
Is that the one that the film is based on?
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, okay.
Just like required reading for sure. Angela Davis's autobiography, required reading. Asada Shakur's autobiography. Warmth of Other Suns. I'm halfway through that. It's just like such a beautiful story around the Great Migration. I'm halfway through How the Word Is Passed by Clint Smith. It's just heavy, dude. But also... Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these writers that I'm mentioning, like, are also, like, literally poets. So that, like, just good writing. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a way to, like, engage the readers, even if the text is, like, heavy or the topics that they're discussing are, like, something that...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love some poetic prose.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'll help you get, like, let's go to the syntactical level. Also... I can see her face. Eve L. Ewing wrote a book that came out this year about how school systems systemically fail Black and Indigenous students. It was so good. It has an apple on the cover. I can't remember the name. So good.
It'll come to us.
It'll come
to us. Yeah, speaking of like required reading or like discussion of the school system in general, literacy rates in the U.S. have seen like a massive decline in the past decade. In Milwaukee alone, there's been like, I think only 25% of MPS fourth grade readers can read at like a basic level.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about like this growing or rather declining literacy rate as a role model or a book influencer?
Well, one, it's just absolutely devastating. It and it terrifies me. I look for the language all the time to get people to understand how important reading comprehension is, because I think a lot of times when we're talking about reading on a level, people can we're at a state in our society that people can physically read anything. Like, you put the Declaration of Independence in front of most adults, they can read the words, but do they understand what is being said in the text? And that is where and that's my beef with constantly escaping, because like, it's not always supposed, like, some text you struggle with it by design. Like, Beloved is hard on purpose, because Morrison was like, the topic that I'm like tangling with and like the historical space that we're in, it shouldn't be easy. Like, it's a very complicated thing. And so I hate it. Like, I just hate it. And I wish people took it more. I wish people took it more seriously. And I think that at the end of the day, it just kind of starts at home. Like, do you foster a culture of reading in your house? Is reading like a non-negotiable? My oldest is 15, was off the walls in classrooms, just like couldn't sit still, was losing a glove and a hat and a boot every 20 minutes. But it was never an option whether or not he could read, or and was not a strong reader, because that's more important than anything. And I think we have distracted and escaped ourselves to to the point of ignorance. And it just upset. Like, just sit down and struggle with something. Sit with information that makes you uncomfortable and work through that instead of reading Colleen Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
I substitute taught in MPS for years. And then in my first job out of college, I was a para for a charter school for a year and a half. I have never met, in the middle of the city, I have never met a parent who didn't want to parent their child. Never in any of the schools that I was at, I did not meet a parent who was not thinking about, invested in, concerned about their child. But it really is that or eat, that or pay the rent, so that the child has a place to sleep. And so it's rough. And yeah, yes, we can point our fingers at social media to some degree, but I live with a 15-year-old who has unfettered access to the internet, honestly, in my revolutionary style, and is on honor roll. So it is modeling. Parenting is so much work. And I think about how much work parenting is against the dichotomy of how easy it is to make a child. And you just get thrown into it, and I wish people had more resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, coming back to the digital discussion, how do you balance both the criticism that digital spaces are getting for impacting or influencing the rise of anti-intellectualism, but also putting out content that makes people want to read? How do you navigate both of those?
I think what my take on the social media from jump, and I'm an OG, in Facebook started in 2004, I was 14. So, and especially with these algorithms, whatever it's feeding you, that you're telling it to feed you that. So I ran across this man who's got his master's in sociology talking about how the wealthy move differently than the middle class or the lower class. Anybody who's listening, I'm using air quotes. I don't know how I feel about those labels, but that's because how I engage with the internet brings me a sociologist who talks about class concepts. And so if you're getting junk, you need to switch what you're looking at. First of all, you'll get better stuff. And then as far as just the undeniable addictive nature of social media, I just locked myself out. I'm locked out right now, and I really just put a timer on. I'm going to be on for 90 minutes. It's really hard when I'm home with my toddler. because he's going at 90 miles a minute, and I always just like want a minute to like not have to engage. And so like I feel like my screen time is higher on those days. But I've just like, I lock myself out. I'll ask one of my children to hide my phone. It really is, because it's like I don't want people to feel shamed for the addiction. It's addictive by nature. But because I think it is helpful, and also like that's how I make my money at this point. I can't just like divorce myself of it. Mm-hmm. So just really like doubling down on the boundary setting more than anything is what. It's really interesting though, just like how our phones are just like I told you guys, I just got a new camera and I'm trying to set it up, and there's a QR code pop up on the screen. So I'm just like, I am not even dealing with my phone right now, but in order to finish setting up this camera, I have to find my phone. And that's just, it's frustrating.
It's just so like built into the
Everything.
infrastructure
Yes.
of the world that we live in.
It's so frustrating. So I don't know. I'm thinking about getting a house phone, like a landline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because my like
On a cord?
on a cord. Like my 6-year-old, like once he's like of age or whatever, I'm just like, we need to reel this in somehow. And so then he can just talk on the phone in the kitchen in front of me. It'll be perfect. So we'll see what happens.
Build that like talking on the phone skill.
Yeah, literally call, make an appointment, call. So I don't know.
I hate phone calls
I
myself.
hate phone calls. I hate them, but we got to do it, you guys. Yeah. We got to bring it back.
No, that's very real. So apart from like the home phone, do you have anything else coming up that you'd like to plug?
So I mean, starting this summer, I was like annotating hip hop verses, and they've gone just like uber viral. So, which has been fun, and it's been fun for me to dive into like exploring and finding language to why I love hip hop so much. And so I'm kind of revamping my Patreon. I'm calling it the Trap Poet Society, because Dead Poet Society is one of my favorite movies, and then trap music is really my hip hop of preference. And it's going to be like a year-long curriculum based on pillars dedicated to like building your own personal and political framework, becoming like super well-read, becoming a really strong, like enhancing your ability to critique music and literature, and also just like building, I'm going to try to build a strong digital community rooted in mutual aid. Mm-hmm. So I'm building out that curriculum right now. And then just working on like trying to batch some podcast episodes so I can re-up my podcast in January. But yeah, I think those are my big projects this year. I mean, I started the year with like 35,000 followers on my personal page, and right now I have 163,000. So like that jump has just made me want to try to build this to scale, as Mr. Monopoly would say, so that it can be beneficial for me.
Cree, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you. This was so wonderful.
Yeah. Before we let you go, so Milwaukee Based is a podcast about Milwaukee's internet culture.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Milwaukee viral
Steve the Stoner. Steve the Stoner.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. Right now, he is viral for that dance he made to Kalani's song, "Come pick up your clothes, I have them folded." Steve, I love you. If you ever see this, if you hear this, I am a super fan. I love the irreverence. I love the commitment to the culture. I love it all. I love it all.
Commitment to the bit.
Commitment to the bit. The
RWS.
face be straight. I just like, he is pop blocking in the middle of the street on Lake Drive in front of the mansions dancing.
Yes.
Free concert. It's iconic. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Well, I think that was the perfect ending to the podcast.